Okay, there we go. It's mounted on the bracket. The bracket fits in here and bolt goes there. This end is held in by bracing up against this thing. So as soon as we get that tight, it'll be secure. And I just dropped the washer down there. So, try this again. Okay. Good enough. Now, we have the connector for here. We have the connector for the distributor. And we have this wire that goes on the ground of the coil. And a mess in between. So, I'm going to completely replace this mess. Power wire's here, by the way, the red one. I'm going to completely replace that wire setup, but I think I'm going to wait until I get the correct ballast resistor so I can do this all at once. I got to clean this up too. See, this is turned into a handy place to hook up things for power when the engine's running, and it's developed into a mess. So I gotta clean that up. Okay, I got my wires hooked up, cleaned up a bit. This is a 4-wire ignition module. So I could have used this ballast resistor after all, but I didn't realize that. This type needs the 5-pin version, but that's okay. I can still use this. And if I get a 5-pin ignition module and I plug for it out of the wrecking yard, I have the resistor all ready to go. And you know, with the 5-pin plug, then these are interchangeable. I just, you know, plug in whichever one I can get. So not the end of the world. This first wire goes back here to the distributor, to this half of the plug. The second wire is the other half to the distributor. The third wire is 12-volt supply for the ignition circuit, from the ignition circuit. And the final wire goes to the ground on the coil. And the 5th wire, if it had one, would go to this other terminal over here. Now, part of the problem with having multiple owners and people working on the wires and not being tidy about what they do is that you end up with some messy wires. This here is the positive for the coil, and you know, I don't know where the other end goes. It goes somewhere. And if I didn't connect it, something vital would not work. I know this because there is nothing unvital hooked up on this thing anymore. I made a jumper here out of 2 wires because it was too small to trust all by itself. The other side goes to power the other half of the resistor. I believe this is my ignition wire. This goes to the electric fuel pump, and this goes to the electric choke mechanism or something. I don't know what that is actually. Yeah, it's an electric choke. So anyway, that's what it does. Normally you hook the timing light up to the battery, but I can't reach up there through the battery, so I hooked it up here to the ignition source and grounded it on the carburetor. These are backwards, by the way. Good thing you caught that. There. Okay. And I always hook this unit up to the coil wire. I know you're supposed to put it on the number 1 plug, but I've always found it works better for me if I hook it up to the coil wire. And as near as I can tell, the timing mark is down through that hole. So, which is good because you can't see the vibration damper from up front at all. So, let's see if this thing starts. Down there in that hole, I've located a little mark, which is currently lined up with the seam in the transmission. I'm hoping that's the timing mark, because if the timing mark is up on the vibration dampener up there, it's completely useless because you can't see up there. Now that that's lined up, and now that the distributor's lined up, let's see if it'll start this time. Well, I just warm it up and get the battery good and charged, and time it by ear, because none of these timing marks, nothing I see through here makes any sense. So